But these are things where there's a break in the flow of the speech. And if the speech flows smoothly through that, it's better understood, and there's sort of more of a kind of a connection with the audience. Because when you break the speech, there's like a change, stop and a change of thought, and change of the way that people are experiencing the speech. So it makes it more coherent. Okay?
Thank you, Dave. I don't think I said any positive.
You did a couple. Examples.
Dave.
I was just giving some examples.
Yes. Dee, you did a great job, and because you don't have to count, trouble counting yourself, you also get off the hook.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm going to be introducing later the general evaluator, which is Fraser Jones, and Janet Evertson is going to be doing both the greeter joke master job and the table topics master. At this point, I'm going to call up Janet Evertson to be the table topics master for this evening.
One question.
Yes.
So Veda, you want to just alternate? We'll alternate our table topics evaluations.
Yeah, we're going to alternate, or if you want to, yeah. Alternate.
We don't know how many.
Right, alternate
Okay,
is good.
you want
Do we have to flip a coin here?
All right, I'll go first.
You can go first.
Okay. Okay,
Oh, I
we're
see.
set, yeah.
So after, we just go through as many 5 volunteers and then,
Keep an eye on.
I'll bring Veda up.
Yeah. I hope you have a lot of questions.
yeah, I have some.
We can go
Welcome.
twice if we run out.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. I did not get a chance to print. I tried, but it didn't work, so I have to use my phone. Thank you. All right, so the table topics are 1 or 2 minutes each, and we have the lights. And who would like to volunteer? I have different subjects, and Veda? Oh, I didn't see Veda. I mean, I saw Veda first, sorry. You're next. All right, thanks, Fraser. Come on up. Okay. All right, you want to see the 5 choices and pick?
No.
Oh, I don't let him do that.
No.
I just take him with one. Sorry. Okay.
You got a pitch you want.
All right, here we go. Veda, tell us about your most triumphant, uplifting experience that you remember as a child.
Please repeat the
Sure.
question. Just the
Yes.
words. Triumphant.
Triumphant, uplifting experience as a child, your most memorable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. My childhood, I have some very distinct memories from my childhood, which I've been thinking about because I have thought about putting them in a speech. But they didn't really fit so well in my icebreaker, so maybe there'll be another speech. I'm not going to talk about one experience, but a few of the experiences that I would say are at the core of my being, at the core of my personality, at the very essence of humanity. When I was 4, was one of the very first memories on my 4th birthday. I guess with the green light going up, I'll probably only have a chance to talk about.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's
One's
table
up.
topics.
Yes, thank you for the green light.
Sure.
Sure. So on my 4th birthday, I went with my family, which was my mother, my father, and someone who was like my nanny, and my sister and my brother. And we went down to a park, and I remember looking out across the grass of the rolling hills and realizing that I was aware and noticing the awareness, just the awareness that I was alive, awake, and aware. And I thought, I'm always going to have this. As a child, and even when I'm an adult. So child and adult is equal. That was my experience. Madam Table Topic Master.
Okay, Fraser, please come up. Let's hear it for Fraser. Okay, what am I gonna pick for you?
An easy one.
Oh, no, can't do that to me. All right. What is your most triumphant, uplifting experience that you remember as an adult?
Madam Topic Master, fellow members, viewers, guests, and viewers at home. What is the most uplifting thing I experienced as an adult? It's difficult to pick one because to me, going through life as an adult, there have been several things uplifting and making me want to move on to finding out more things or trying out new things. So, but anyway, I'll pick one of them. Like I like to take what I would call measured risks, do things that I didn't do before. So a big one. Well, I always think things will work out. So I remember the time at our office, we had to do this job, and it was we do the whole study and then prepare our documents, but we had to do it at the same time. So I told them, hey, I have a computer at home, just use it and it will be easy. And actually it did work out, although I had to spend all night at the end, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it was there on Monday, everything ready on Monday. But it did work out, and I think that made me feel pretty good. I took a chance and it worked out, and I think that's generally make me feel pretty uplifted.
Thank you. Very good. Okay, who's our next brave soul for the table topic? All right, come on up, Peter. So this one is similar. I have a similar theme going throughout this, and this is your most recent memory of what pops into your head of the most recent thing that was a great day, best uplifting experience. And tell us about that.
Madam Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. I'm going to go with a really good memory. I don't know if it's the most recent, but it's the one I'm thinking of. And that'll have to do. And it's easy enough. I'm a parent. My wife is a parent, and together we have 3 children who are all over 25 years old, so they weren't born yesterday. And I remember one day just thinking, well, they're all launched. They're doing all right. I'm proud of them. I'm happy they're my children. It was a good day. I feel that I've been very lucky in that way, and my wife does too. So that's my experience. Madam Topics.
Jean, come on up.
I have to go on mute.
Yeah.
Okay,
Juggle everything. Thank you, Jean. Okay. Let's see, what do we have for you that's very special? Okay.
uh-oh.
Describe for us in the future what your best day or good feeling, uplifting experience would be like. What would that be? What would that look like? Your best day in the future.
Like just put it
Yeah,
together
just
for
create it.
myself.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Madam Table Topics Master, guests, honored guests, fellow members, viewers at home. There's so many options. How can I fit it all in 24 hours? That's really cruel. Should give me at least a week, because I could really get some traction going with some really cool stuff if I had about a week. But I'm only getting a day. I think I would start with, well, first of all, I sleep in, but that's nothing unusual because I sleep in all the time now. But I don't get rocked by having to get up early, so I get up when I want. And then I head in for my best massage experience. So I want to start the day with a massage. Really get broken in and worked in. And then after that, I think I'm talking about a spa experience actually. I think at that point then I crawl off of that massage table and I head over and I get myself all pampered. Just don't move a muscle, I'm just pampered, nails, hair, facials, all of that. Then I tootle over to a restaurant of my choice. And I'm not gonna go on record here saying which one because I don't wanna play favorites, but I would pick an excellent restaurant and I would just order whatever I wanted on the menu and I would just relax and feel like a lady who lunches. Now we're getting to the afternoon. I would call Dan's boss and I would just say that we have an emergency at home and Dan needs to leave now and come home. So we'd get Dan out of the office and he'd come home and he could play with me. No, that's not what you're thinking here. So we would go, I think at that point we might go for a walk because the temperature outside the day that I pick is just gorgeous. No humidity, very cool, calm, a little bit of sun. We're almost to the end of the day. Dan and I come back. We also have a nice dinner that night. And again, only 24 hours. I guess I go to bed, but that's ideal for me.
Very good. All right. Who's ready? Do we want to do another one? I can do another one.
Yeah, let's see where we are.
We get a volunteer.
We've got much more time.
All right.
Yeah.
Have ideas all day long.
Now, the theme, just in case you get to, is peanut butter. So if
Now you're
you
telling
run out of things,
Yeah.
then you want to segue over to
me.
something.
Peanut butter.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna talk about peanut butter.
cookie day.
After, well, you know,
Peanut
while,
butter.
while
Peanut
Dee
butter.
is working.
I could think of a peanut butter thing right now if you want.
It's your show.
Be nice.
Okay. Welcome, Dee.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So, what is, as you review your past, what is your best memory of peanut butter? And what recipe that was, and what happened that day that makes that stick in your mind, the smell, the taste, everything. Okay? Thank you.
Anyway,
Clap, clap, clap.
when I think of peanut butter, I think of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And when I was in grade school, my mother would always pack a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, maybe a couple. But you know, the problem with peanut butter and jelly, they don't mix too well, you know. And you have that sandwich and you start to kind of squeeze it together a little bit, you know, and it's in like in a plastic, one of these plastic wrap bags. And when you try to open the bag, what's happened? Some of the peanut butter and the jelly is kind of stuck to the bag. So you have to kind of pull it out, and then you start chewing on it. And you know what, and then you're with all your buddies, right, in grade school, you know, sitting across the lunch and stuff. And you're chewing the peanut butter, and it starts to kind of ooze out of the side of your mouth. And you keep chewing on it and chewing on it. And at some point, one of your friends starts to pick on you about the peanut butter rolling down your chin. But what you do, though, is you take the peanut butter off your chin and you put it on your friend's forehead. And then, since they also have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, you end up with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich fight. Now, my fifth grade teacher, Mr. Faught, would come into the cafeteria at that point. And so you have these paper bags, these plastic bags, and this peanut butter all over the place. But you know, we had a lot of fun. I mean, who cares, right? Peanut butter and jelly. That's what life is all about. It's just one big peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Thank you. Well,
We can keep going.
yeah, okay, let me think.
Okay, so now that you're into, when your guy's up, you gotta be working over here, so that you're ready when you get up.
Oh, I'm supposed to what? Oh, I'm supposed to be evaluating?
No,
you're supposed to be thinking of the next person.
Oh, right.
You get your next question ready,
Oh,
so
yeah,
when you
yeah,
get up
I
there-
have one.
Okay,
I
So
have one.
call.
so just, it's like one of those things, unfortunately, you just have to
Okay.
keep,
Another
Multitask.
volunteer, please. Let's try it. This will be fun. Come on up.
Carmen.
So, question is,
Speak up, please.
okay. What first pops into your mind as your worst day? What happened that day? And then what good came out of it?
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. That's an interesting question, and I was thinking that it's gonna be something worse. I don't know why, because everything so far has been something good that happened in your day or something like that, or the most memorable day. I know she's gonna pick something bad, and I went to me. Okay. So, I think a worst, I cannot say worst, but I was so little. It was the first day of school. It was so traumatic for me that I was crying like very, very bad. I didn't even recognize myself because all my crying was all over my face, and I saw the other beautiful people, the children. And then they were so quiet and looking at me. And I say, wow, they are really brave. Why am I crying? I don't know. My mom is gonna leave me here in this room, which is only one teacher, and I was so scared. I can't believe it, I was started crying even more. And then it was late because the teacher was telling me, you know what? We need to begin the class, but I can't because you are crying. I said, I know that you can, but I don't want you to begin the class. So, okay, and I was crying and crying. And then my father kind of hit me a little bit. So I was so embarrassed at that time that say, okay, I'm not gonna cry anymore because I don't wanna be hit one more time. I'm just gonna go to my chair and I'm gonna sit up. So that's it. It was good because the teacher could begin the class, but it was worse because it was a bad experience. And still, until right now, I remember that when I was 5 years old, you hit me when I was in the first day of school. But it was a bad and good experience. So that's my experience so far with the worst. Thank you.
Any other volunteers? Or we are- Oh, you're the volunteer. I thought you were the next gig. I'm sorry.
4 score, and so
Deb, Janet, you are up for a while.
Oh,
So
okay.
I just want you gotta produce on the.
I gotta produce, okay. Well, I'd like you to do another run on the last idea. Think of your worst memory in your life that stands out, the first thing that pops in, and explain it for us. And then see if you can come up with how it ended up to be a blessing in disguise. Okay?
Madam Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. I was in college. I believe I was, maybe I was a senior in college. I had a group of friends that I hung out with. Some were from my hometown. I was going to Texas Tech in Lubbock, Texas. A lot of the kids I hung out with were from my hometown. We were at a party and just kind of hanging around, and we decided there was a rainstorm coming up, a big thunderstorm. This is in the plains of Texas, so you get a night sky with the lightning. You could see miles and miles and miles of this lightning. So we wanted to go somewhere and watch the lightning. We had this great idea. We'll run over to the football stadium, hop the fence, sit in the stands, and watch the lightning. It was the stupidest thing I ever did. We didn't think. We hopped over a fence, but beneath the fence was a ramp going down. My friend and I both went over. He went fast, and he fell maybe 15 feet and hit the concrete. I looked over and saw what had happened, so I lowered myself down and I got down to him without really hurting myself. But he was seriously hurt. We had to call the ambulance, right? It's the only time I've ever been in an emergency ambulance with the siren going and you're sitting in there. And it was a horrible, horrible experience. And it actually affected him in some ways the rest of his life. The only plus that I can think of to deliver for that, was that I actually learned to meditate just about a week before. And the plus was that I found out that I could live through anything.
Okay. Anybody else want to give it a go?
I have a suggestion.
Thank you.
Why don't we have whoever is finished pick the next person and deliver a question to them, just
Okay.
to take it a little bit off of you.
Right.
Is
Did
that-
another person? Okay.
Yeah, it's like,
Sure.
so we're all now gonna be
Thinking.
coming up with a question, kind of liven it up a little bit. So Dan,
Next table topic.
why don't you go back up, and we'll let Dan sit. Okay. Takes a village, so Dan gets to pick somebody, the next volunteer.
I'm going to choose Peter. Come on up.
He's already been up though, right?
Pick them up.
Everybody's been up.
We
Except
had
our guests.
So yes.
Steve, yes.
I'll go.
Did you want to go?
Yeah,
Okay,
Karen's
Karen.
gonna go, okay.
Not that I watched everyone else sweat.
This is you.
Okay.
I'd like for you to give us an example of a person's eclectic taste
Alright.
in any field you choose, but explain how it is that, if you can, how it is that you admire their wide-ranging taste.
Oh, okay. And
Is
not
that clear?
myself, yeah.
It could be you.
Okay.
All right.
Admire myself.
Okay, all right, so
Okay. Well, I'm going to use this question as an opportunity to kind of launch into other topics. What came to mind was this concept of eclectic. And what I love about teaching is that I'm teaching one subject area, but I get to draw people from all sorts of backgrounds. So I'm going to shift the question a little bit. And so I'm teaching quite often a theory of consciousness to support people's meditation practice. But what I like about this subject is that I can never predict the kind of students that will walk into my classroom. And this year I found that a lot of people would present themselves as a very strong, healthy candidate. And then I hear more about their story and discover that they just came from some major life traumas. Or most recently, one of my students actually reported a near-death experience 2 years ago. And so I'm just delighted that this topic of consciousness lures people from all sorts of backgrounds, and I end up with a very eclectic classroom. And I learn about the different means by which people want to explore the theory of life and explore meaning and relevance for adding meditation to their daily experience. So this is my way of meandering into a more comfortable zone for conversation. Okay?
All right, so Karen,
You're
Oh,
gonna stay up there.
That's right.
put your other hat on now.
Okay.
Question.
Come up with a question?
Okay, first we
Okay.
gotta,
And
we
then
gotta
get
get a
the
victim.
ball,
We have to get a victim.
call someone up.
Okay.
Who's next?
Who wants to go? Bridget, do you have any interest in going?
You want to do it?
Bridget will
Okay.
go up.
I actually know your mother. All right. So I'm going to stick with the theme of the day. Have you ever had peanut butter?
Yes.
All right. So what do you feel is the contribution of peanut butter to American society?
Fellow Toastmasters, guests and viewers at home. I feel that including peanut butter in a variety of different meals has become a trend in American society, as well as the allergies that people experience from it. I've definitely had many experiences having peanut butter and known people who like peanut butter. But other than that, I don't know.
Tell us about it.
Um,
The allergies.
about the allergies.
Yeah, you can
Go on.
Well, I definitely know this one girl in my class who fainted when someone had a sandwich in their bag. Yeah, and
Just by the smell?
yeah,
Wow.
I have not heard that.
I don't have anything.
Do you like
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
How about the question? You have a question? See, what time are we at? So
We have to start
Think of
over
something
again
that
at this
talk
point.
about.
she goes up.
Right.
So, learned Toastmasters, what do we think? Do we want more?
Do we want more? Do we go a second round, or are we out of time? I'll bring that to Dan, he's good with it.
I think we got time.
Yeah, we can do some
Okay,
more.
so we could do some more, but we'd be on a second round.
Sure.
So
Do I
just-
first pick the person?
Well, we'll just keep going until
Yeah.
some people go twice.
Okay.
So,
I volunteer.
ask for volunteer, okay, good.
Volunteer.
Volunteer, yeah, you haven't gone yet.
You pick the question.
Okay.
Talk about your most recent concern.
My most recent concern.
Oh, okay, excellent. Okay, so this is me.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. So let's see, I'm going to talk about my recent concern. That's easy. It's been my dog, Yummy. He's 15 years old, and I've had him since he was a baby with his brother Crispy. They're brothers, and adorable dogs that we have raised, and the kids wanted them, and they enjoyed them very much. And then when they went off to college, guess who gets to keep the dogs? Mom. So I am enjoying it, but they are very intensive. They need a lot of care. And now that Yummy is having heart conditions, it's even more. He needs to go out to the bathroom every hour. So on top of being very busy, I have to run out all the time. I have puppy papers everywhere. And it could be time to let him go to doggy heaven, but I keep giving him another day. I'm thinking, he looks pretty good today. Let's just enjoy the day, and we'll clear the carpets later. So that's what I have been going through, and it's actually, we're getting closer and closer as it gets to his last few days. I'm just more in love with him than I've ever been. Gave him a nice bath yesterday, so he's looking really good, and we're taking it day by day. So that has been a big concern for me lately, but I'm gonna survive it. Thank you. I have to come up with an idea?
Yeah, you come up with it.
And then we need someone. as
I would need a volunteer for another speech.
you
This
want me to
one's
go
gonna be
again?
good.
Yeah, why don't
I'll go
This will
again.
be good, thank you. Please describe for us your first date and how that went and how you think you might have done it differently in retrospect.
Okay, here we go.
Well, Brenda.
Thank you, Janet, for that challenging question. Toastmasters guests, viewers at home. I never went on a first date. I always, on I think every occasion, met women, as I am a heterosexual male with a healthy libido, seeking female company. And from my earliest memories, I never went on a date. I remember asking out girls, soundly rejected at the first opportunity. the prettiest girl in 7th grade, Mary Beth Murphy. I remember her well. I don't know how I even had the guts to ask her out because she was, of course, going to quickly turn me down. I said, "Do you want to go to a movie?" But somehow I had the confidence. But every woman I've ever met, I simply met them and it was either love at first sight, we got together right away, or I made a friendship with them, or all of the above. So that was my first date, Janet. So I guess I'm the next question. I'm doing the next question, so I'll call up the next person. Carmen, would you like to come up for another one? So Carmen, since you were surprised by the last question, I will give you a reprieve and you get to talk about the most inspiring thing that you have ever experienced in your entire life or event. Anything in your life, whether it be in your family, in coming to Fairfield, or any traveling, any experience. You have 30 seconds.
Fellow Toastmasters, honorable guests, viewers at home. The most exciting experience in my life has been having my son. There has been 9 months of preparation for that day. And every single day, it came with some risk, with joy, with a lot of worries because sometimes I was feeling sick because of the pregnancy. Other days I was feeling so good that I want to eat every single thing in that, like hamburgers and Cokes and French fries. And the next day I didn't want to smell it because it was like that. Or some days I didn't want to eat. Then I went to the doctor and said, "What's going on? I have a child and I don't want to eat. Then my child is gonna get so tiny when it's gonna be born." I said, "Don't worry, for the first trimester it's gonna be like that." And then I think it was the most time in my life that I has been so worried about myself, about my health, about what's going on. I didn't want to even see movies that made me cry because I said, if I cry, my baby's gonna cry and I don't want to. So if I laugh, my baby's gonna laugh. And so let's go with happy movies and something like a laugh. So it has been kind of crazy, but at the same time, I had only one. So I enjoy every single day. And then when I had the baby, I say, "Oh, thanks God," because everything has 10 fingers and it has 2 legs and it has something like that. So all my worries were out. So it was a good experience. It was the most wonderful. And right now he's 23 years old. Thank you.
I think we're gonna stop.
Oh,
Are we gonna
okay.
stop?
All
We
right.
should stop.
Okay, so we'll call Janet back up. Janet.
Thank you.
Janet back up.
All right. Okay, so now you have to ask timer.
Timer.
Okay.
All right, I'd like to call on our timer. Who has qualified tonight?
Madam Topics Master, everyone in every speech has qualified tonight.
Okay.
Some by the skin of their teeth, but
Yeah.
they did.
Well.
Yes, remind us of
You
their
want the
names,
full report?
because we're gonna vote now.
Yeah, but
Okay.
we just look
Oh,
around.
all right, I will remind.
Yeah, it's just
pretty much
everybody here.
But here are the names. some of them will come up twice. Beta, Fraser, Peter, Jean, Dee, Carmen, Dan, Karen, Bridget, Janet, Veda, Carmen.
Call for the vote. Call for the vote.
Okay. Would somebody collect all the votes, please? Okay, we'd like to welcome our Toastmaster, Veda, back up to the stage.
Thank you, Janet. And as part of my duties as Toastmaster, I'm directing that it comes back to me at this point. As it was not noted in the schedule, however, the proper flow would be for the Toastmaster to hand it to whomever, and then it comes back to me. And as an aside, just to utilize this time, that fourth grade experience, four-year-old experience was many years ago, and it was on my birthday, which is also today. So I'm recalling my fourth day of awareness. My fourth day of awareness, this is today my many times that day of awareness, which I will not reveal anymore.
Your birthday coincides with National Peanut Butter Cookie Day.
Yeah, there you go.
Great. I will
You
not,
can
I will
use
try.
that information any way you like.
Yes, okay. So I'm going to introduce next myself as the first table topics evaluator. Please start the time.
So are we agreed we want 4 to 5?
I think we should
have
just try
six.
for, do you want,
We have 6.
2,
I have
3,
6. I don't know
4,
about
5, 6. I have 6, you have 6. Do you want to still
Yeah.
go with the 4 to 5?
you.
I think.
could probably do 3 to 4, don't you think? Or what do you want?
Let's just go with the 4 to 5.
You can go 3 to 5 if you want.
Well,
Probably won't do 3.
all right,
We
so
can,
4 to 5.
we can do the 3 to 5. 3 to 5 is a good time, that way we,
40 minutes.
Yes.
10 to 9.
Yeah.
3 to 5, that way we'll still qualify with the minimum of 3 minutes.
Okay.
And the green light coming on will probably be a good indication.
3, 4, 5.
3, 4, 5, thank you, Peter. So I'm going to now begin when I say the word start. Start. This evening, we had a wonderful Penelope, if that's not the right word, panoply. Learn something every day, grammarian, please note, of eclectic speeches. First we had Fraser. Fraser talked about his experiences as an adult. I noticed that he could benefit from a video of himself or looking at the videos, and just a slight, because he's advanced, I'm going to bring up the criticism first, a slight, just to notice how you move. It has improved how you move in the beginning, but you did crack your knuckles, and you tended to keep the eye contact in one place on the Table Topic Master. But other than that, it was a really good speech. You used good gestures, you had somewhat interesting content for a spur of the moment speech. Jean was the third, and she used her time quite well. She's very humorous because she launches in how she's kind of complaining that she only gets a day, that she needs a week or a month or a year. Not really a year, but we just keep going with this idea. The humor just caught me, like this spontaneous humor, this pithy humor that Jean has. She came across as very confident, but in the very beginning, I could see her nervousness, and I would say to watch the video and see not that your facial expressions are bad, but you should really see, I don't think you're seeing how other people see you with the beginning of the speech, how your facial comes across. So there could be just an awareness of that. That would be my main suggestion for Jean. The fifth person and a later person, and I'll do them both together, was Carmen. Carmen is very happy, like a happy person it comes across. When she's just sitting there, you would never guess it, but when she comes up, the happiness just pours out of her, especially in the second time she came up for topics, because she got to speak from her heart. The first time, she had great vocal variety. She talked very loud and very soft. I would say that you, on the first speech, because you are speaking softly, you have to account for the room. Unfortunately, we have a lot of background noise, and when you're not confident or when you're speaking softly, it's not going to come across. But you totally didn't do that in the second time you were there. So I would just say open it up and let it flow louder, even if you feel quiet. So excellent, excellent job, Carmen. Tremendous job and very heartwarming. The next I'll talk about is Karen.
She had to leave.
Karen had to leave. However, she was very confident. You could see as a teacher of consciousness that she was a teacher, that she was easily able to talk about teaching. And she gave us some interesting things about the word that she had to speak about, which was eclectic. She talked about students bringing an eclectic experience and very closely connected. Excellent content for such a quick off-the-cuff speech to bring in that kind of awareness. My only thing for her, suggestion, would be that she could build on her confidence, because I could see a lack of confidence in the beginning just in her gestures and her mannerism. But as a guest, that would be expected. So thank you to Karen for coming. Janet, as we often hear from Janet, she's very confident speaking, and she launched into something that's touched all of our heart about her pets. Again, like Carmen talking about her children, Janet, her pets are practically her children at this point. So I would say the word so less often, because that got distracting. So that's the conclusion, stop time for me, of my section. And I'll be calling, as the Toastmaster, I will be calling up Janet, hand it back to me, the Toastmaster, hand it over to Janet, Jean as the second evaluator. And we'll be doing the timing over for the second evaluator. Thank you, Jean.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. This side of the room was not clapping. I just want to know why.
No peanut butter.
The back was clapping, but this side was not clapping. So we just want to make sure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, you can't hide in the crowd right at the moment. You know, it stands out. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to be evaluating the people that I was evaluating. I've got Veda. I'm going to just do it in order. So Veda's first question was the one about the triumphant experience as a child. He got a personal story going when he was a kid and had awareness and that whole story. A suggestion for Veda, of course, he realized less setup time, so he has time for the important part of the story. And then also I would just suggest that he could use or repeat one of the key question words. The words were triumphant or uplifting at the end to really just kind of emphasize that he did address the question. In my mind, you get extra bonus if if you address the question, so you can, and it's a way to wrap it up and conclude. Peter, the most recent great day. And he talked about parenting, and he gave a personal story. Anytime there's a personal story, it catches people's attention, so that is a good thing. Suggestion to Peter would be more elaboration on why he was proud. It was a little bit thin on the content. So that would be where he could elaborate further. D got the first peanut butter question. D is a natural storyteller, in my opinion. He always gets me laughing, so he's got that PB&J story going to school, and he's very good descriptions. I mean, you could see the peanut butter falling out of the mouth. You could see it stuck to the plastic bag. You could see after they got into their fight, the plastic bags and the paper bags, and everyone's all over. I mean, he really paints a good story so that I could visualize that whole scene. Suggestion to D would be to eliminate some filler words. He has a way of saying right, and then also and. He could end the sentence, leave the pause, and then continue on, but really good storytelling skills there. Dan, worst memory, and then what was the blessing out of that? He gave a personal horror story. He addressed the question of what was the blessing, which was that he learned he could live through anything. So again, he's connecting with the question, and I like that. I want to see that someone didn't shy from addressing a question, that they actually addressed it and went on. Unless it's a very clear segue, but I think you get more points if you address it. The suggestion for Dan, I don't think he addressed the audience. I think he was too horrified in his own mind as he was thinking about what he was going to say. Bridget also had a peanut butter question. What was it? What is the peanut butter contribution? That was a hard question. I mean, what can you say about peanut butter? You know, really, after some, it just sort of runs out. So you did an excellent job getting up, experiencing what it's like to get a question thrown at you, and trying to think of, well, what else can I do with that? Okay, so I just really would say for Bridget, just come up again sometime. And hopefully the question will be a little easier. Or you'll get a question about a food that is one of your favorite foods, and you'll just be off and running. Okay. Veda, second time, his first date, he did an immediate flip. I love the flip. He just said, I never went on a first date. Well, there we go. That just added a lot of texture to the whole thing. And he gave a personal story, Mary Beth, in the 7th grade. And then he also said what he did instead. So I like the structure of how that question was answered. Again, for suggestion for Veda, I would request more, or I think he would benefit from having more vocal variety. Some louders and some softers and some highers, and will you go out with me, Mary Beth? Okay, no problem, you don't have to go. You know, a little get into the play acting of the scene, because we were all there. We all know what that scene was, whether you're on the sending or receiving side. Those are my comments, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jean. When in doubt, call the Toastmaster back. That's my theme for tonight. Because the Toastmaster should be and should remain in control of the meeting. So I'm going to call for the timer to explain which evaluator is qualified.
Two.
Did you just call for it, or are
Yes,
you
I'm
going to still do it?
according to the schedule, I'm to call for the timer.
All right, both evaluators qualify.
Thank you. And could you name
Would
them?
like the details. Oh,
No.
No, just name.
both Veda and G qualify.
Now, it has on the schedule to vote for best table topics, that Fraser should be doing that, but would you like me to?
The vote has happened.
I mean the evaluator.
That has not happened.
Should I call for that instead of following the schedule?
We should have Fraser come.
Okay, so Fraser, I'm going to introduce Fraser, who will call for that part of the meeting. And Fraser is our general evaluator for this evening. And Fraser will be doing the job, which is the most important job of helping evaluate the entire meeting.
Okay. So first we're doing the votes.
Yeah. Okay, so both evaluators, Jean and Veda, qualified. So can you please take out the ballots and vote for the best evaluator? Now we'll move on to the reports from the various role players. So first, I'll call on the timer. Peter Armstrong for his 1 minute report.
Thank you. All right. I will now read the names of everyone who gave a speech and say what their time was. So for the table topics, Veda, first speech, 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Fraser, 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Peter, 1 minute and 19 seconds. Jean, 2 minutes and 17 seconds, which is fine. It's still within 2 minutes and 30 seconds. All of these are fine. D, 1 minute and 50 seconds. Got a lot of peanut butter juice out of that. Carmen, 2 minutes and 29 seconds. Very close shave, but it worked. Dan, 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Carmen could give you a few tips. Karen, 1 minute and 20 seconds. Bridget, 1 minute and 13 seconds. Janet, again, 1 minute and 38 seconds. Was that an again? I guess not. Veda, second time, 1 minute 28 seconds. And Carmen, second time, 2 minutes 50. The evaluators, Veda was at 5 minutes 26 seconds in a 5 minute speech, so that's good. And Jean was at 4 minutes and 15 seconds. And that is my report.
And now we'll hear from the grammarian, Jean Craig.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow members, honored guests, viewers at home. Here are a few phrases I heard that caught my ear. Veda in his first talk said, "A few of the experiences are at the core of my being." Jean in her talk said, I'd be relaxed and feel like a lady who lunches." Dee said, "You end up with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich fight." Karen said, "I've learned about different ways that people want to explore the experience of life." And finally, I heard Carmen say, "My most inspiring experience was the birth of my son." The word of the day, eclectic, got off to a slow start. I used it once. Karen used it at least twice. I heard Veda say it 3 times. Not sure who the winner is because in part of that he was reporting who had said eclectic. Mr. General Evaluator.
And now we'll hear from our counter, D. Stopper.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. Do you want me to read all this off?
Name and then how many of each type.
Okay, so Veda had an an a so, a but, a couple ands, and a false start. Fraser had an like, a couple so's, 2 ands, 1 tongue click, and a false start. Peter had 1 and 3 ands. Jean had nothing. There were none of those. I had 1 ah. Dee had 1 ah, 1 1 so, and 1 but. Carmen had 3 ums, 2 so's, and 1 but. Dan almost had a clean slate. He just had 3 ands. Karen had 1 1 you know, and 1 but. Janet had 1 and 1 so. Beta had 1 so and 1 and. Carmen had 3 1 so, and 1 Xerox. I don't know if that makes any sense. I mean,
Now we call on the greeter joke master, Janet Evans.
Fellow Toastmasters, I chose a joke from, it said, what are the 13 foods to avoid on your first date? Let's be honest, the date is not going to turn out like Lady and the Tramp. In other words, spaghetti should not be the choice of food. Instead, it's more likely to end up like Lady and the spaghetti sauce in her lap. Go for the penne if you've got a craving for Italian. That's the first joke. Next we have a knock knock. Who's gonna play knock knock with me?
knock knock. Who's there?
Wait, I say knock knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow.
Cow. What cow?
Interrupting cow.
Just
Boo.
say it.
Interrupting cow who?
Yeah. Moo!
Moo.
I was supposed to say moo before you could finish saying interrupting cow. But we had too many going on
All
here.
right.
Screwed up that
Good
one
time
too.
to charm.
Work on the time.
Good time to charm.
All right, so what's that one? Oh, yes. If you're an American, when you go into the bathroom, an American, when you come out of the bathroom, what are you when you're in the bathroom?
In the bathroom.
European.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. Okay. Again.
Came up with one good one, thank you.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
And now, as the general evaluator, I'll evaluate the evaluators. But before I do that, I'll give some general thoughts on the meeting, just a short thing. Yeah, the meeting started late. And one of the things we could do to get the meeting starting on time is to help organize it, getting everything up and ready for the meeting. So if everybody could pitch in that would be great, and that will help starting on time. Okay, moving on to evaluating the evaluators. Yeah, they had a real eclectic set of topics to evaluate and speakers. Okay, so Vida, he greeted the audience and he had a suggestion for everyone. He had good eye contact, not only with the person he was talking to, but the other members of the audience. And yeah, as I said, he had good comments for each speaker and yeah, excellent suggestions. Let's go on to Jean. Jean, one thing, I'll start with your experience. So I'll start. You did not address the audience, and I think you did not. No.
Okay, good.
Right? And but she had very good suggestions for all of them, and I liked how she had hand gestures, commenting on how good some of the speakers had hand gestures. And yeah, and basically, yeah, that's basically my evaluation of the evaluators. Very good suggestion. And with that, I'll hand it over to the Toastmaster, Veda Royal.
Thank you, Fraser. I enjoyed how you did that. Excellent job, especially with the introduction of the role players for the reports. So now it's time. Yeah, it's going to be time for awards, but I want to know what's the next item. Item.
I think that's something that was in there
It's an administrative point that I will be calling for.
about the meeting theme.
Yeah, I just.
Okay, I'll be calling for that administrative point after the awards. So now for the awards, and we have 2 awards tonight, which is such a challenging thing. The best table topic, which we had so many, incredible. I cannot believe that we could even make a choice. And the best evaluator, which of course will be obvious when we announce it. For drum roll, please. The envelope. It is, best of table topic is Carmen.
Yeah, right.
Very excellent. Very excellent. In fact, I was actually, to reveal my vote, voting for her on the first one and doubly so on the second. So she really earned it. And not hearing my own evaluation and figuring it wasn't very good, I figured Jean would be better, and so everybody else agreed with me. Jean is the best evaluator. Click. There was this movie called, I believe, King of Hearts, where they were in an asylum and they would just go like this and they go click for the pictures. So in your mind, you can just say click. Next, so I'm calling up Peter for his announcement on the theme.
Toastmaster. So now we'll become more formal. We're talking about just a point that everybody could know. Every week I put together the agenda, and part of that job is to come up with a meeting theme and a spiffy quote that goes with it. And this week, as you can tell, I was struggling a little bit. I finally settled on, well, what's going on today somewhere in the world? What is today? And it turned out to be, of course, National Peanut Butter Cookie Day. And then, searching for quotes on peanut butter, I ended up with the quote down below. James Garfield was a president of the United States. He died in 1881 from an assassination attempt. I didn't know there was peanut butter in 1881, and maybe there wasn't. I had no way of knowing whether the quote is actually real. But I thought it was at least something that would be humorous. People try to find quotes that are inspiring, or table topics that are inspiring or that are meaty or whatever, and I'm open to any and all ideas that any of you have. I will do my best to come up with something that's interesting. The advantage of having a good topic is that it can serve as, if we want it to, or if it's good enough, as kind of a glue that can hold various parts of the meeting together. Or just something so that people can play riffs on it when they're giving table topics, or whatever. What we do with it and how we use it is entirely up to each individual. And so, to sum up, you're all welcome to suggest themes for meetings and quotes even that go with the themes, anything that interests you or that you know speaks to you in a particular time. And I'd love to hear from you. And by the way, thank you, but one more point. We can always use speakers. Do we have a speaker for next? Fraser's working on that, but in general, for the next meeting, we do need speakers if we can get them. And the meeting after that is our partner. And that's my point. And so now I will call up the president.
Great, thank you, Peter, thank you. Okay, that's really great. So that means everyone is supposed to look when Peter sends out the email. I saw it on Dee's phone. If you're having any trouble, Dee hit his accepting and then it went into a login and he didn't know how to log in. If you are not able to click on that link when Peter sends it to you so that you can accept the role that he has assigned for you, you need to talk to him so that you can, and then you can accept that. Now when you go in there, you also look at the meeting theme. And that is important because the table topics master, if you're ever that, you want to be building your questions around the theme. No, we want that. No, it is actually what is designed so that everyone sees the theme and they can be starting to think, oh yeah, so what are some interesting peanut butter stories I might be able to call on? So that it is a responsibility to come up with a theme that people can, you know, kind of work with. So that's the deal. Yes.
I would just like to say that it shouldn't seem to be something from on high that can't be changed. If you are the table topics master and you want to affect the theme in some way and, you know, recast it, I'm open.
Well, the table topics, if you are assigned as the table topics master and you see the theme and you have a different idea, you need to get a hold of Peter so he can change it and everyone can see it. Because we want that theme being used.
Good
Okay?
idea.
Okay, good. So we're out of time here, so that's how that works. If you're not able to get in using the links that he's sending, connect to him. So Janet, that's what you want to do. Dee, that's what you want to do.
I got in, I did
got
everything,
in.
but I didn't look for the,
Okay,
Dee,
good.
never heard of it.
Perfect, progress. All right, good. Okay, well, so we've had a really interesting meeting. Bridget, do you have one thing you want to say that you liked? No. Okay, she's still thinking about peanut butter. Okay. All right,
Sorry I
good.
brought that up.
Okay. All right, so we're going to close the meeting out. Do hold in 2 weeks' time. We're having our annual supper, so we won't be here. It will be definitely Mexican, and we'll announce the final place next week. All right, anything else? Anyone? Okay, meeting is adjourned.